in the Middle Ages were pets for women. Sort of. Not always, but a lot of the time. In the Middle Ages, there was the idea that pets, especially small dogs, were mostly for women inside of the home, or monks, because they also didn't go out and hunt and fight, and they weren't having sex. So, women, monks, and to a degree scholars could have little dogs and pets like that. This is because men in the Middle Ages, especially of a higher class, would have dogs that would be hunting dogs, for example, or working dogs, or horses. So they would have animals, but they wouldn't necessarily be considered pets in the same way because they also served a more practical function other than just companionship and being a little guy to hang out with. So, little dogs were mostly pets for women and monks who didn't have functional reasons to use animals outside of the house quite as much. Of course, there were women and monks who worked in the fields and things like that, but if we're talking about women of status, especially, a little dog, would be quite a nice status symbol to have. Surviving writings show that there were some degree of moral panic about these dogs at some points because these women who had some money would be spending all their money on their little dogs instead of doing something more useful with it, like giving it to the poor. And any person who cares more about a dog than an animal, who has all of these little pets, was seen as being amoral, which is a good point. And most or all households were very likely to have a cat of any class just because they serve such a good purpose in terms of mousing. So, especially out in the country, but also in the city, the great mousers serve a function. So, it's not quite the same because it's both a pet, obviously, for many people, but they also had a good justification to have cats, which is catching the critters. Squirrels, monkeys, and birds were all also very popular pets in the Middle Ages. And of course, there are records of men who are not monks having little pet dogs, but it was just seen as a little bit interesting and something noteworthy at times. So, did medieval men have pets? Yeah, sometimes, but pets were sort of seen as a woman's thing in a lot of ways.